Hello, I'm going to do the Libra November energy reading. As always, take what resonates, leave what does not. All right, so I already have my cards here. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. And I have my crystal that was cleansing the cards for you. So we're going to put that aside and get going. So I'm going to do the Celtic cross. So let's see what's going on here. So we have Temperance. So that also could represent a Sagittarius. Patience. What is patience crossed by? Patience, waiting for the future, right? Waiting for things to happen with the Three of Wands. What do you need to focus on? We have the Ten of Swords. What are you leaving? What do you need to let go of? What do you have in your past? We have the Two of Wands. What are your strengths? We have the Page of Cups. Near future, we have the Ace of Cups. We have the Advice, Ten of Wands. We have the Environment, exactly, Ace of Swords. We have Hopes and Fears, Page of Swords. And then we have the potential outcome. We have the Five of Pentacles, and overall energy is the Queen of Wands. I love it. So I kind of feel like for an overall energy is that you're putting a lot of weight, and there's a lot of frustration that you have going on because you keep waiting for something to come in, or you're frustrated with where am I heading towards, or what does my future look like, or what's the next step. And I feel like you're putting a lot of stress and anxiety into that, like you're losing your patience, and by doing that, it's like you're making the situation harder. And I feel like you kind of have to give up on that energy, because when you just let things flow and happen the way that they're supposed to, and you occupy your time and busy yourself with those things that you can control and what you do have going on in the day-to-day, and to focus on those things that kind of are a distraction for you for what you keep, that you're waiting for. And I feel like that brings in new opportunities that you weren't expecting. I do feel that you have to make these changes, and you're worried about these changes, and you're having to make some tough choices. But I also feel that this opens up a new way of thinking for you, and being like, okay, why am I putting so much energy and so much effort into this frustration of waiting for things to happen when I really need to be focusing on what is right in front of me? Because sometimes we get into that, and that energy of that frustration, and we're just kind of locked in that bubble of frustration and losing our patience. I feel like for the overall energy with this Queen of Wands, it's like gain your power back, right? Don't rent out spaces in your mind to things that don't need to be there, right? Don't give that free rent space in your head. So what we have here is the current situation is Temperance. So it could be, like I said, with a Sagittarius, where's this relationship going? But I also feel it has to do with patience and balance. And I feel like that's the situation, but I feel like you're frustrated with that, wondering where are things going, where are things heading? And we have the Fool, which is on the sail of the ship. And there's like this space. It's like, well, how do I get to the ship? How do I get there? When is that going to happen? How is that going to happen, right? And all of these questions and this frustration is building up. And it says, what you need to focus on is how do you get rid of all of that stuff, all of this stuff that if you can't control it, it's not serving you to take up space in your mind, and to let that go, right? Have that come, this Ten of Swords come to an end, because tens can represent a completion, coming to an end. How do you have that come to an end? How do you realize, okay, if I keep asking all of these questions, I'm missing out on focusing on the things that are going on around me right now that I can focus on. It's just like when you're waiting for something to happen, and you want to get say you're at your job, right? And the day is going by really slow, and you keep looking at the clock, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting so frustrated. This day is dragging by. I can't wait until I'm off work. and you keep looking at the clock and looking at the clock, and then it just like, it makes it even harder. But if you busy yourself and you say, okay, this is a situation, I just need to start working on a project or doing whatever I need to do, and getting busy, and stop looking at the clock, and then you look up at the clock and you're like, oh wow, 2 hours just went by. That went by really fast because you were busying yourself. So I kind of feel like that's the energy for this reading for the month of November, is kind of just to enjoy November, right? Enjoy each day of November, and not always being frustrated with, okay, what's the next step? What's the next? And wishing time away. I know I used to do that all the time. I was like, oh, if I can just get through this day, if I can just get through this week, if I can just get through this or that. And I wasn't enjoying the current day. And I've really slowed things down, and I'm really trying to make more of an effort to enjoy each day and see it for the day that it is, and not worry about what was in the past, and not worry about what's coming in. So I feel like over here with what you are leaving, I feel like it's kind of leaving that where you like putting, it's hard for me to put in words. Like, it was kind of like what you were expecting to leave that behind, right? To leave that way of looking at things behind, but to have a new way to think about it, right? A new way to see things, and say, okay, I'm not going to focus on this because I can't control it. It's not going to change anything, but what can I focus on? And I feel like it's kind of leaving those old ways behind. Your strengths is the Page of Cups, and I feel like it's, once you set your mind to it, I feel like you're able to embrace things, and I feel like you're able to kind of put a new feeling to it. When I feel like you're able to, like, you're able to accept the situation for what it is. Like, I feel like if you're like, okay, this is a situation, I don't know what's going to happen, so I need to change my mindset, and I'm just going to embrace the now. Like, I'm just going to embrace that this is what it is. Like, I feel like you're able to adapt to things. But I feel like you have to put your emotions into it. Like, you have to feel it within yourself. And then we have the near future, which is the Ace of Cups, which is amazing. So it could be that you have this fulfillment, you have this happiness, you have this sense of calmness, because you're like, you know what? Worrying about it isn't going to help the situation, and I'm just going to focus on what's in front of me. And I feel like there could be new relationships coming in, there could be reconciliations, but I also feel that it's you feeling comfortable within yourself and just focusing on those things that make you happy, right? Especially, like, you know, maybe it's getting back to, maybe you like to play tennis or you like to play golf, like doing those things to fill up those that time, instead of sitting at home, being on social media, getting caught up in all of that, or binge watching TV shows, or, you know, doing that mindless thing. Like, getting back to those things that bring you that fulfillment. For me, I love going to the barn, and that always, I mean, time flies by when I'm at the barn, and the day goes by really quick. And when you do those things that you enjoy, you know, maybe it's going to the gym, maybe it's going for a walk, whatever, you know, maybe it's doing a puzzle, right? Get out a table and put a puzzle up, and set up a puzzle and do a puzzle, and do that. And it feels good, especially, you know, as you're working on that puzzle and you're finding those pieces. It's like those little successes. It's those fun things. Like, what is that emotional fulfillment that you can have, those things that you can do that can bring you that, instead of putting you in that energy there. The advice is to let things go, right? Coming to an end, feeling like you have those burdens. Again, with these two here, with the 2 tens, it's like not worrying about things that you can't control. And I know that's easier said than done, and that definitely takes some work to do that. But when you have that mindset, right, and you put yourself in that energy and you focus on that, then you're like, you know what? I'm not going to waste my time on that any longer. The environment is your new thought process. The Ace of Swords is that the environment is, how can I see this differently? How can I think about this differently? How can I deal with this situation differently, because this is not working for me, right? I'm losing my power. I want to gain my power back, about enjoying each day and the moment, and, you know, what can I control those things, control the current moment, and how I'm thinking about things, how I'm feeling about things, how I'm processing things. hopes and fears is I feel like there's some things that you're going to have to cut out. I just feel like his sword is really shining and sticking out there for me. And I feel like it's kind of, okay, what are those things that I need to cut out, right? That overthinking, right? This 10 of Swords, I need to cut that out. And what is it that I need to focus on? What is my new way of thinking? What is my new way? So I just feel like it's a new thought process. You're ending an old thought process during November and you're starting a new one here. And I feel like it's one that you will kind of get yourself into that mindset, and that's something that you're going to keep up with, because I feel like if you fall back into this energy of this frustration and this irritation and feeling impatient, that you're like, you know what, I really don't want to put myself in that energy again. I don't want to feel that way again. I don't want to be that way again. And so the time in this energy becomes less and less, because you're like, I feel so much better when I focus on other things and I let that go, and I just let things happen the way that they're supposed to, and I just let things fall in place without worrying about it, because worrying about it does not help the situation, which I know is easier said than done. And then we have the potential outcome, is I feel like opportunity is coming in for you. Usually 5 of Pentacles. I like this card because I feel like the hand is out and like the coin is falling into the person's hand. And I feel like that represents opportunities coming into you. Even though this is, because 5 of Pentacles can represent a temporary hardship, right? Even though you're going through these struggles and you're having these challenges, it works out in your favor because it brings you in new ways of thinking and processing things and working through things, right? Kind of out with the old and in with the new. And then gives you that power of self again, which I feel that maybe you feel there is a loss of that, but it's just really recognizing what's going on, what it is that you're doing, and how do I work at that, and how do I change that. All right, so let's grab a animal oracle for the month of November for you. All right, that one flipped over. I love it. Eagle spirit. Spirit has your back. Eagles represent success, they represent victory, they represent power, they represent, you know, with those eyes, it's like foresight, being able to see things clearly. The eagle is wearing a crown. I feel like it's you gaining your power back in November and kind of seeing clearly. I feel like your vision, like you're able to really see, okay, I'm wasting a lot of time doing this. I need to focus on doing that, right? I just feel like there's this clarity that comes to you, and it gives you this sense of power because you're finally able to see things that you are doing that need to be changed. And then let's grab a Whispers of Healing for November. We have unconditional love. I feel that represents giving unconditional love to yourself and realizing that if you're struggling and you're having a hard time with something, that you're like, okay, I've got to take care of myself. I see that I'm struggling. I feel like I see that I'm getting irritated with a lot of things. I'm seeing that every little thing is affecting me and bothering me and irritating me and putting me on edge. And I need to look out for myself and say, okay, what are those adjustments that I need to make? I'm seeing clearer now, and I'm seeing that I need to make some adjustments. I need to make some changes here. I need to cut some things out, and I need to refocus on other things. All right. Thank you so much for watching. As always, stay positive, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.